Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point, Free for All Friday, 888-589-8840. If you want to jump in on the conversation, anything that's been in the news this week, anything we've talked about here on Focal Point is fair game. I want to start off with a great soundbite from Brett Hume. I can't remember if we played it earlier this week. I've still got it in the queue. It's an absolutely great soundbite because President Obama is all about the redistribution of wealth, and he's overlooking one thing that Brett Hume puts his finger on in this soundbite right here. Let's listen.
Yet President Obama remains fixated on wealth inequality, as if that's what's holding back growth. Indeed, Democrats at times seem almost to prefer everyone be equally poor than unequally rich. That's an exaggeration, of course, but it holds a kernel of truth. Republicans tend to worry about the health of the goose, Democrats about the distribution of the golden eggs. Democrats seem to think spreading the wealth more equally will create more of it. After 4 years of weakness, you might think it would dawn on them that it simply doesn't work that way. It's fairly uncomplicated. Before you can spread the wealth, you have to create it. The government does not create wealth, it absorbs it. The private sector creates it. Policies that encourage that can make some people outrageously rich, but they make a lot more people simply richer.
So that's Brett Hume. That's profound. I mean, that's what we've talked about. That's our basic, he just summarized, encapsulated form, our view of the economy. Before you can spread the wealth, you have to create it. You can't redistribute wealth unless there is wealth to redistribute. And the government does not create wealth at all in any way, shape, or form. Now, the government, by having a system of justice where contracts are honored and people who dishonor contracts are punished and people who steal and swindle and rob and thieve are punished, government can create the environment in which wealth can be created, and we need to have them do that. That's their God-ordained function. But government does not create wealth. As Brett Hume says, government absorbs wealth. It takes wealth. Every government job is a drain on the economy. Now, we got to have some government jobs. I'm not saying we shouldn't have government jobs. Please don't misunderstand me. We need an army to provide for national defense. Local level, we need a police force. We need a functioning judicial system. We need prisons to incarcerate people. We need legislators who provide, who establish good policy. So we need government jobs. I'm not saying government is bad. Out of control government is bad. Unconstitutional government is bad. We need government to create an environment in which wealth can be created. But no government job, not anyone, anywhere, anytime, any place, ever in the history of humanity has ever created any wealth. That is something for the private sector and the private sector alone. Now, I want to say a couple things very quickly about the jobs numbers. Got a piece here by John Nolte. 5 things that the media is not telling you about today's job numbers. Number 1, the unemployment rate dropped to 7.4%, but only because people gave up looking for work. 37,000 people just gave up and dropped out of the job market, the labor market, in the month of July. That's the only reason the unemployment rate came down. If people, this is point number 2, if people did not quit looking for work, if people had not dropped out of the labor force, the unemployment rate would be 10.7% today. If the labor force participation rate was the same as it was when Obama took office, unemployment rate would be 10.7%. Do not let them lie to you. Number 3, the Obamacare effect. 65% of the jobs created last month are part-time jobs, 65% of them. Only 35% of the jobs that were created were full-time. And so far in 2013, I mentioned this earlier, Zero Hedge has pointed out 953,000 jobs created in 2013. 77% of them are part-time jobs. All year, this whole year, 2013, Obama's recovery has only created 222,000 full-time jobs. And don't forget that Obama promised us if we passed the stimulus plan, 2009, unemployment would be down to 5% today. Instead, in effect, it is 10.7%. The U6 rate, which is all the discouraged workers, is closer to 14%. And number 5, the Reagan recovery produced more jobs in 1 month than President Obama has produced all year. His policies, lower taxes, less regulation, took effect in 1983. And in 1 month, September of 1983, The Reagan recovery created 1.114 million new jobs. Now, I want to turn our attention to what's going on in Benghazi, the Islamic world. It's an absolute